Aberdeen, oil bedrock of the Scottish economy, granite city of Scotland's north. Oil, once the cornerstone of the independence argument, but despite the oil price slump, this is still the stage for the biggest Scottish National Party conference ever. SNP support still surging, membership passing 114,000.
If you'd asked me 2 years ago if you thought I'd be standing here, I wouldn't even have thought I would be. I didn't really care about politics at all, to be perfectly honest, until the referendum.
I joined on the 19th of September 2014.
And what made you join?
The result of the referendum in Scotland.
Had you ever been politically active before?
Yes, I have. I've always had an interest in politics since an early age, but as I think the British establishment had intended it, a lot of people in Scotland lost interest.
I really believe in independence, and I think the SNP are the best way to get independence. And also, I love Nicola Sturgeon. Like, you can't not love Nicola Sturgeon, she's just brilliant.
When did you join?
I joined, it was in May, just before the general election.
What's going to happen? Are these two going to stay together?
No.
No.
Definitely not.
So where is this Scottish nationalist phenomenon going? What does it have in common with Labour's Corbyn revolution or any of the other insurgent movements bubbling up in Western democracies? Well, we're joined now by the editor of the Scottish political magazine Holyrood, Mandy Rhodes, and by Robin McAlpine. He's director of the social think tank Commonweal. Mandy, talk here today, independence, independence, independence. You know, what will the terms be, this, that and the other? Very little talk about what's been going on, for example, in the Scottish Parliament, which one would have thought after 2 terms is a pretty important test. And things haven't been going on so well. Policing, education, health.
I think when you've been in government for 8 years, it's inevitable that there will be some shine goes off what you've been doing. Robin and I were talking earlier, and they've certainly started to slip even on their own standards, but that's important.
But what's extraordinary, Robin, is that in fact the numbers of people joining the party have gone up in the course of all this.
Well, yes, I mean, I don't think there's better alternatives is what they're seeing here. And while they are independence supporters, a lot of these new members were activists or campaigners who came into the independence campaign and then came from there into the SNP. So yes, there's a lot of talk about independence, but you'll find as much talk about, for example, fracking or TTIP and some of these other issues that are going about the conference hall as well. And on those issues, there isn't really another party which represents them well.
Well, you see, I'm fresh from party conferences down south, where I met a lot of Corbynistas, both at the Tory party on the fringe there outside and at the Labour Party, and I feel I'm amongst Corbynistas here, people who are actually activists driven by alienation and by failure to deliver. How long can this party last?
Well, I think the key thing, and I think the bigger pressure for them, is a lot of these people are going to look for something more radical, something more substantial in the next Parliament than they've delivered in this one. And I think that is a pressure on the SNP. But Corbyn has not won these people over yet. He wavered in Trident. He hasn't turned the party around yet. And bluntly, I don't see any drift back towards the Labour Party at the moment.
I mean, he's been up here, and what effect did he have?
Well, I think he shone a light on the fact that Labour in Scotland is still the branch office. All the attention was on Corbyn, but as Robin says, people felt let down. He hasn't promised. He promised on Trident, he promised on austerity, and he hesitated, and that wasn't a good thing.
Are all these new members, some of whom I just spoke to, I mean, are all these new members merely driven by independence, or do they actually want a better deal for their own lives?
They want a better deal for their own lives, and whether that's independence or not, they'll have to wait for, won't they? The First Minister has now said it won't be in the manifesto.
And I mean, what do you think? Because the sense that they want independence seems to drown everything else. Surely there's only a brief honeymoon during which these activists are going to feel happy.
And this is the thing where it's difficult for the SNP. They have a lot of these people who want to see progress and independence, and they want to see it faster, some of them, than is probably likely to be possible. But they've got pressure from the other side as well, which is there's a lot of people here that want to see action now on a lot of the social stuff. And that's not easy to balance, but I think the SNP is aided by the fact that there's no return to the Conservatives up here at all, and Labour doesn't seem to be easing in. The Greens aren't big enough. They're not under threat yet.
There's also the problem of talent. I mean, it's jolly difficult to suddenly produce 56 MPs in Westminster, or 55 in Westminster, and a whole government here.
I'm not sure the Westminster MPs matter so much for the SNP. that might sound counterintuitive, but the important thing for the SNP is the Scottish Parliament. That is the sovereign parliament for them.
And do they have the talent?
Well, yeah, they do have the talent, but we're talking about them failing on certain things. You've also got to look at the opinion polls, and they're 30-odd% ahead of everybody else.
I wonder what will be next year.